जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining and welcome back. So we are on verse number 14 of chapter number 1 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And in this verse, Sanjaya describes Lord Krishna's grand entry in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So let's read the verse. तथा श्वेतैर्हरेर्युक्ते महति स्त्यान्दने स्थितौ माधवा पाण्डवाश्चैव दिव्यौ शङ्खौ प्रदद्मधु. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses sounded their transcendental conch shell. So in this picture you can see a beautiful picture of Krishna and Arjuna. They are sitting on a grand chariot, and this marks the entry of Lord Shri Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So far what has happened is we discussed in the last session about verse 1 to 13, where Sanjaya informs King Dhritarashtra about Duryodhana, who is giving the appraisal of both the parties, with the Pandavas and the Kuru army. And then after describing their strength, Bhishma, who was kind of frustrated, he blew his conch shell. And after Bhishma blowing the conch shell very loudly, all the other warriors from both the sides, they started blowing the conch shell. That brings us to verse number 14. So verse number 14 to 19 is discussing about, on the other side, the blowing of Krishna and Arjuna's transcendental conch shell, as well as blowing of the conch shell of other members of the Pandava armies is described. And that actually shatters the heart of Duryodhana. So this is the description which is given in verses 14 to 19. So let's see some points before diving deep into this. So Gaurang Priya Prabhu, he has described these points from verse 1 to 11. These are certain points which I thought is important. So let's go over it. So the first one is why Sanjaya described Duryodhana's actions first. Because one thing was, Dhritarashtra asked the question. That Bhagavad Gita begins with Dhritarashtra asking a question, that what did the sons of my sons and sons of Pandu, who have assembled to fight in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, what did they do? So because Dhritarashtra was asking this question and he was blind, he couldn't see. So he was blind by birth, as well as he was spiritually blind. So being blind in both the manner, he wanted to see what is going on in the battlefield. And that's why Sanjaya is describing Duryodhana's action. And Dhritarashtra was afraid that under the influence of the place of pilgrimage, his sons make a compromise or something like that, and they will lose their kingdom. And from verse 4 to 9, the different warriors from both the sides are described. And then the third point is talking about is Duryodhana is comparing Bhishma, who is the more experienced, highly experienced warrior, to Bhima, who is kind of less experienced. And Duryodhana has envy towards Bhima, and he is also afraid of Bhima, because Duryodhana knew that if he has to die, he will be one day killed by Bhima. So that is the reason he is comparing Bhishma to Bhima. And Bhima compared to Bhishma is like a fig. Basically, he is not powerful compared to Bhishma Pitamaha. And then the next point is, what made Duryodhana confident of his victory? So Duryodhana, in the beginning of the war, he was like really confident that they are going to win, and that is described from verse 7 to 11. So the first point is the strength of his friends. So he was very confident of his friends and relatives who were from his sides, and he knew that they are great warriors. So knowing their strength, he was sure about their victory. And the other point was that because of the presence of Bhishma, who is the far superior general compared to Bhima, he clearly felt the victory of Kurus dependent on the presence of Bhishma Dev. And then he was confident of the full support of Bhishma and Drona, as they have not shown any kind of resistance while in the Asat Sabha, where Draupadi was insulted. So these are all some of the discussion which we already had in the previous purport. So in this verse, the shift is towards the scene changes, where Sanjaya starts describing the other side. So he shifts from the Kuru, describing the Kuru side or Kaurava side. Now he is moving to the Pandava side, and there he is describing a grand entry of Lord Shri Krishna. Now, normally, in some movies, big hero, when he enters, then they show a car coming and with a screeching sound, and then you see the leg of the hero, of the door opens for the car, and the leg of the hero is shown, and then the camera is moved gradually towards the face of the hero. So this is how the grand entries are done. So similarly, here we see that when the camera is moving towards Krishna, his entry is shown like a entry of a hero in a movie. And the word which is used is Tatha Sveter Harer Yukte, which is the first line of the verse. Tatha Sveter Harer Yukte. Tatha means thereafter. Svete is the white with white. Haye is horses. Yukte is being yoked. Mahati. Mahati is in great. Syandane is chariot. Stito means situated. So first the description of the horses are given. So here if you see, this is a very nice picture where these horses are being shown, and the picture feels like Krishna and Arjuna is jumping out of this picture, the frame. And that's why I put a picture like this to give us an idea. And here we also see that Krishna and Arjuna, they are blowing their conch shell. Their conch shell is described here as transcendental. So beautiful white horses and magnificent chariot. So this magnificent chariot was actually given by Agni Dev to Krishna and Arjuna. And the chariot name is Kapi Dwaja. Kapi is actually monkey. So the flag. Now these warriors, they had their different warriors will have their different flag. So Arjuna always had a flag with a monkey on top of it. And in this war, we'll see later on in the verses that Hanumanji will come and he is going to sit. Actually, he already sat on the top of this in the flag. So Hanumanji is also part of the Kurukshetra war. And then the description of Madhava Pandavas Chaiva. So Madhava means Krishna is described first, and then Pandava is described, then Arjuna is being described. So this is about the Lord Krishna's grand entry. And then we see the mentality of Duryodhana is revealed here. Now what is the mentality of Duryodhana? So generally the mentality of Duryodhana is compared to a mentality of a materialist. So he actually, in the beginning, as we saw in the previous verses, he assesses both the sides, and he talks about all the great soldiers on both the sides, right? But since Lord Krishna is not fighting in the war, he forgets to speak about the most important person, which is Lord Krishna, right? So this calculation of Duryodhana is he missed a big point. And this is same as the godless materialist. They have the same kind of thought process. They always think about the material things, whatever they see in front of them, whatever is there in present of in present of their eyes. They only think about those things. They don't think about the Lord's role, or a role the Supreme Lord is going to play, or what plan he has. That is not in their thought process. So materialist always thinks in terms of matter and whatever they are seeing through their eyes. So this is what is revealed about Duryodhana's mentality. So Lord Krishna is going to play a very, very important and a decisive role, right? And therefore even Sanjaya, when normally what happens is nobody will mention the name of the charioteer before the name of the king. Like for example, even Duryodhana was mentioning the name of the kings, none of the charioteers were mentioned at all. But here in this verse we see Madhava Pandavaschaiva. So the Madhava means Krishna, Supreme Lord Krishna's name is, another name of Krishna is Madhava. So here charioteer's name is given before the name of the king. So here the charioteer actually is not a ordinary person. He is not even an extraordinary person. He is a Supreme Lord. So here the charioteer is going to play a supreme role and is going to cause a supreme consequence. So that's why even before the king or Arjuna, the description of the charioteer is given. The charioteer is the Supreme Lord, who is Madhava. Madhava, what is the meaning of name Madhava? The Madhava means is a lord of the goddess of fortune. So goddess of fortune is Lakshmi Devi. So Krishna is the lord of, he is even the lord of the goddess of fortune. So wherever there will be Krishna, then there will be supreme fortune. That is what is indicated. And here Pandavas is the Arjuna's, the word Pandava is used for Arjuna. And then Divya Sankha. So Divyam Sankyam, that is the Divya Sankhya. So what this means is this: the conch shell is described as transcendental. Now we're going to discuss this word transcendental when we read Srila Prabhupada's purport. But Arjuna and Krishna's, both of their conch shell is described as transcendental. So any paraphernalia of Krishna is always transcendental. Anything connected with Krishna is always transcendental. His dress, his chakra, whatever weapons he carry, and then whatever, here he is using the conch shell. So that is also transcendental. And Arjuna is a pure devotee, and his intentions are to serve the transcendental Lord. That's why the conch shell of Arjuna is also considered over here as transcendental. So this is a verse which gives the grand entry of Krishna, and we see that Krishna over here in this verse serves Arjuna as a charioteer, and the same thing is doing in the battle in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna is described first time, he is seen being driving the chariot of Arjuna. So Lord is Bhakta Vatsala. He is ready to serve his devotee in any possible way. So he is ready to take any role to serve his devotees. So that shows the loving nature of the Supreme Lord. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about this transcendental conch shell. So in contrast with the conch shell blown by Bhishma Dev, the conch shell in the hands of Krishna and Arjuna are described as transcendental. So what is the meaning of transcendental? So Divyam. Divya means something which is beyond the matter which we see. So normally whatever we see through our eyes, that is called as pratyaksha. So whatever things which we are seeing in this world, these are all matter, right? Except the spirit soul within the body of the human beings or any living entity. So this is all what we see is all matter. within the modes of material nature. So transcendental means spiritual, beyond the three modes of nature. So that is what it is. So transcendental means this is beyond the three modes. It's a spiritual. The content of that is spiritual. The sounding of the transcendental conch shell indicated that there was no hope of victory for the other side, because Krishna was on the side of Pandavas, and we saw that Krishna, wherever there is Krishna, because he is the lord of the goddess of fortune, so there will be always victory. There will be always supreme opulence. So in the next paragraph, it is described Pandava's victory is declared. Jayastu Panduputranam Yesham Pakshe Janardanaha. Victory is always with the persons like the sons of Pandu, because Lord Krishna is associated with them. And whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there, because the goddess of fortune never lives alone without her husband. So the goddess of fortune is always accompanying the Lord. She may not be seen to us through our eyes, but she is always there. And wherever the goddess of fortune is there will be always fortune. And so wherever is Krishna, and whoever is with Krishna, they will always have fortune. Therefore, the victory and the fortune were awaiting Arjuna, as indicated by the transcendental sound produced by the conch shell of Vishnu or Lord Sri Krishna. So the Pandavas' victory was confirmed after the blowing of the conch shell. Now the description of the chariot is given here. So special chariot was gifted by Agni Dev, and the name of the chariot was Kapidwaja. Besides that, the chariot on which both the friends were seated had been donated by Agni Dev, the fire god, to Arjuna. And this indicated that this chariot was capable of conquering all the sides, wherever it was drawn over the three worlds. So this was an extraordinary chariot. It could go in any side or any direction. Just Arjuna had to think about it, and the chariot will do its job. So this was a gift which was got from Agni Dev, and the name, as we discussed earlier, the name is Kapidwaja, because Hanumanji is also going to sit on top of it. So that will make a big difference. By the presence of Hanumanji, it will also bring a lot of opulence and victory, because Hanumanji also participated in the war with Ravana in Sri Lanka with Lord Rama's fight with Ravana. Hanumanji was there. So the same Hanumanji is going to participate in this war, but in a subtle way. He is going to sit on top of the chariot. Basically, he is there in the flag. So if we see this picture, in this picture you will see that Hanumanji is there on the top. Right? And from there, when the war was going on, actually Hanumanji was making different kinds of sound and different kind of faces. By just seeing Hanumanji from there, the warriors on the other side were scared to death. So this is how Hanumanji helped. Yeah. So there are some signs of victory which has been discussed, and this has been put very nicely in one slide by Gaurang Priya Prabhu. So I have taken from his notes. So signs of victory for the Pandavas. Now these are discussed in various verses, but he has given these 9 different signs, and we'll just quickly go over through those signs. First is given in this verse, that is Krishna's personal presence confirms victory. So Supreme Personality of Godhead is the charioteer in 1.14 we just studied. Jayastu Pandu Putranam Yesham. So where there is Krishna, there is supreme opulence, there is always fortune. And then Krishna as Rishikesha. So Krishna's another name is Rishikesha. Rishikesha is his controller of senses. Krishna will be described by various different names in Bhagavad Gita, and one of the name is Rishikesha, means he is controller of our senses. Rishika is the senses, and Isha is the Lord. So he is the Lord of the senses. So he is directly control the senses of pure devotee. In this case, it is Arjuna. So with this controlling his senses, Krishna is going to make possible that they win this war. Second, also discussed in this particular purport, it is goddess of fortune, because Madhava word is used. Madhava is the name of Krishna, and wherever there is Madhava, there is goddess of fortune. So whenever and wherever the Lord is present, the goddess of fortune is also there. She never lives without her husband. Therefore, all fortune is guaranteed. That is in 1:14. Then in first verse, the venue is described, which is Kurukshetra. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. So it's a holy place. And in a holy place, always people who are following Dharma are victorious. So over here, the people who are following Dharma is going to create a positive effect on them. So these are the Pandavas. So Kurukshetra is going to play a good role actually. So Kurukshetra is a holy place, effect of a holy place on the war. And then as we discussed earlier, Hanumanji is on Arjuna's flag, and Hanumanji has also helped Lord Ram in gaining victory, and this will be discussed in the later verses, verse 1.20. And then symbols of Vishnu are described. So as we discussed, anything connected with Vishnu is transcendental. So symbols of Vishnu which are described are the conch shell in verse number 12 and 14. So conch shell is a symbol of Vishnu. This is indirectly indicated by Bhishma and Pandavas. So blowing of the conch shell or starting the war with the blowing of the conch shell means something auspicious is going to happen. So what is that auspicious thing? Is Pandavas are going to win. That is the most auspicious thing, because Krishna is there with them. So that is verse 12 and 14. And then over here in verse number 14 again, the transcendental conch shell, the word Divya Sankha means Divya Sankha is transcendental Sankha. So Krishna and Arjuna's conch shell is mentioned as transcendental. So this also indicates that they are going to win the war. And then in the 12th verse, it is said that Bhishma blew the conch shell to pacify Duryodhana. And then he's giving him, because Duryodhana was excited about this. So just to pacify him, Bhishma is blowing his conch shell, which is actually some symbol of Vishnu. And then next one is Agnidev's chariot was given to Arjuna. So this was one of the most powerful thing Arjuna had. I mean, of course, he also had this Gandiva bow. And this was like extraordinary bow. Only 3 people could have lifted that bow. And one is Lord Krishna, other is so Arjuna himself, and the other is Karna could also lift this bow. But this was a very powerful bow, and is capable of this. Sorry, about the chariot. So Agnidev chariot, which is Kapidwaja, was a very powerful chariot. It was capable of conquering all directions, which is described again in this verse. And then the shattering of the hearts is described in verse number 19. So that we will discuss later. So I think with this we have covered most of the points which is being discussed in this particular verse, and then we'll continue further discussion in the next verse. And with the description of actually the name of the conch shells are given in the future verses, and many other devotees are also blowing the conch shell. So with this we'll stop here, and we will continue our discussion in the next session. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.